We're going to spend about 10 minutes going through this skills practice with my lovely clients, Dan and Abby. So Dan and Abby, if I get you to unmute, we're going to take this skills practice from the point of we've just unpacked their boulder, what they came in for. So this bit on the screen here, if you can see my mouse, and we're just moving straight into the Your Life survey. So Dan and Abby, that's great. We can absolutely help you with that, with those things. As I mentioned, the key part of us today, talking about you, your values and your well-being, is so that we can provide that holistic picture for you. Really get to understand what your drivers are, what's most important to you outside of money, so that we can help articulate what that best life picture looks for you. And once we articulate what that best life picture is, I can help you put together the strategies in place to help you achieve that. So the first thing that we're going to do is unpack that little survey that we got you to do prior to coming in today. So firstly, thank you for doing that survey. Abby, I might go to you first. How did you find the experience of doing that survey?
Yeah, it was really interesting. Haven't really done anything like that before. Hadn't really thought about some of these things before. Yeah. Not what I was expecting.
Yeah, great. That's something that we hear a lot from our clients. Did you enjoy doing it, or was it confronting? You said it's something that you haven't really done before.
Yeah, I did enjoy it. I mean, it was quick, so it didn't take me all that long. And yeah, it kind of just got the thought bubble going, really, because I hadn't really thought about some of this stuff.
Perfect. Well, hold that thought bubble for me then. We're going to unpack that thought bubble a little bit. Dan, if I ask you the same question, how did you find the experience?
Oh, look, when you first sent it across to me, I thought this is a bit fluffy. It wasn't really me. Like, I'm coming to see financial advice. But the reality is I've done this, and I've identified some areas in my life that I hadn't really thought about before. So it's been quite handy from that perspective. But I'm intrigued to see how you tie this back to my finances.
Yeah. We get that response quite a lot as well, Dan. In particular for those that have been through a financial advice experience before. How did it make you feel doing this compared to the other experiences that you've been for?
It's definitely different.
Yep.
And it's been good because I've started to think more broadly about my life rather than just the money in the bank account. So I think it could be quite useful for seeing what I want to do next.
Perfect. That's the intent, right? And we'll probably spend the next 5 to 10 minutes unpacking some of it. As I mentioned on the phone and in the email, this is all a precursor to a bigger conversation we're going to have today around the values that you hold dear to yourself. And the reason those values are so important is they help us articulate the goals that you need to build that best life. So think of this next sort of 5 to 10 minutes as a bit of a precursor to that conversation. Dan, to your point, you'll start to get a bit of a sense around those areas of life that you may not have considered, and you may not have even heard from Abby, and Abby vice versa for you. So I'm going to walk you through the screen that you're looking at, because if our relationship continues, this is a screen that you'll continue to look at as you track this during our relationship. So I'll walk you through it a little bit. And I had a bit of a look at your survey. So I've got a couple of questions I'd love to unpack with you, if that's okay.
Sure.
Awesome.
Good.
So the first thing that you can see here is the outcome of your survey. So Dan, you got a 63, and Abby, you got a 69. We often hear clients go, "Is that good? Did I pass?"
I was about to ask.
Yeah. The thing that you'll start to find as you go through this experience is everyone runs their own individual race. So today is about understanding what that race looks like for you and setting your own individual goals, because quite frankly, this is a test that you ranked yourself on. So these are your benchmarks, not anyone else's. So 63, Dan, might be what good is for you. And same for you, Abby. But ultimately, we want to work together to see if there's any areas there that we can improve on together. So today, all I want you to do is acknowledge that that's our base. As our relationship progresses over years, we might see that hopefully go up, but equally, we might see it fluctuate. We might see it go up and down because of, we have good years and bad years. I mean, we only have to look at the last 2 years of the pandemic to know that we can't sort of continually move this way we've got to be ready to ride those ups and downs. So let's just clock that score and say that's where we are today, which is great. The next bit you'll see is the outcome, or the how close you're living. So you might recall in the survey, it asked you if something was important to you and how close you were to achieving that. These are the outcomes of that. Once again, we're not going to go through each one of these today. There's probably a couple I want to unpack with you, but we don't want to boil the ocean. You know, Dan, as you said, you're here for financial advice. We want to make sure that we tackle the ones that are probably most important to you and most stick out, because when you offset the results of how close you were to living your best life to what's most important to you, there's a couple that really stick out. So Abby, I wouldn't mind starting with you. Let's unpack one of those key things that sticks out for me. I've noticed here that you ranked emotional, occupational, and social as your most important areas of well-being, which is really cool. So thanks for ranking those. But when I look at how you're progressing to those, the one that sticks out for me the most is you said emotional was a 10. So one of the most important things that's important to you. However, when you're looking at how you've achieved that, you're only 55%. So you're only halfway there. So if I can put your mind back in that survey, Abby, I'll show you down here. That was asking you questions like, how important is it to be able to spend money without worry? And how important is spending time with loved ones? Mm-hmm. So if I ask you to reflect on that, why is it, or what was on your reflection, the reason you ranked yourself sort of halfway to achieving those things? And if you don't mind, Abby, I'm going to turn on our little voice to text so that it takes the notes here, because as we said, this is going to be your little portal. So you can always come back and go, why did I rank that 55%? Because I don't know if your memory's bad, but mine certainly is. So I need everything tracked here. So if I ask you, Abby, what on reflection, when you were asked those two questions, how important is it to spend without guilt and spend time with family members? Yep. What was on your mind when you ranked yourself a 5 out of 10? I
can see it counting down. I'll wait till that comes up.
You're good to
go. Look, the reason why is that my sister's a little bit unwell at the moment. And so I've been trying to help out with, she's got kids that are quite young. So I'm trying to help out with maybe paying for some of the things because she's off work. I want to be able to, enjoy my life, but as well as support my nieces and nephews as well. That's kind of where that has stemmed from.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And look, you're probably reading the notes there. Our voice to text does a fair job, but it'll need us to tidy it up a little bit. So I've taken some handwritten notes and I'll tidy that up as well. But what I heard you say there is, your sister's unwell, and I'm sorry to hear that. So what this prompted you to think is how you might support her as well as supporting yourself and your nieces and nephews. So, Dan, if I might ask you, how does that response make you feel? What when you heard Abby talk about that?
I know Abby's sister was unwell, but I didn't realise it was impacting her quite like that. And it's good to know that it's something that we need to think about in terms of our finances moving forward and what we might need to do to support them.
Yeah,
because we want to support them worry-free. Like, we want to help our sister out as much as we can.
Absolutely, Dan. It's and that's the power of having this conversation, right? We often talk about our own finances, but being asked questions that we might not think are quite normal get us to think a little bit outside the square. So thank you, Abby, for sharing that. We can absolutely think about how supporting your sister and your nieces and nephews whilst keeping your own goals and best life on track can be accommodated in your plan. Dan, if I move over to your area of wellbeing that I think is probably most important to speak about here is you rated occupational as the area of wellbeing that's the most important to you. So it sticks out more than the other 7. And similar score to Abby, you gave yourself a 5 out of 10 for occupational. So if I get your mind to go back here and have a look at the questions that they ask you there. So these are questions like, how important is working with purpose, whether at home or in your career? and how important is achieving financial independence to reduce your working hours or retire early? So same again, I'll enable our little dictation service, but when you're answering those questions, what was your reflection around those questions that made you think you're about a 5 out of 10?
Yeah, look, work. I work a lot, right? And I've been working long hours for a long time, and I really want to find something that gives me more purpose and gives me more drive. The other thing, I want to make sure that I've got the right career that would allow me to step down early and start spending more time with my family. I've already put in long hours already. I want to start reducing those as quickly as possible because I want to spend time with those I care about and those I love. And I'm
Awesome.
not there yet. I'm still working too much, too long.
I mean, aren't we all? I think the first step is to acknowledge that. So thank you for sharing that, Dan. And once again, there's a lot in there for us to unpack as this meeting progresses and our relationship progresses. You know, what is the time and the day or the year that we can help you step back so that you can spend time? You know, is there freedom that we can give you or areas that we can think about where you might be able to take that little sidestep into a passion project and not have to worry about the finances? These are all things, knowing that now, that we could probably explore during this experience. Abby, similar to how I asked Dan earlier, hearing that response from Dan, how did that make you feel?
It makes me, yeah, he is at work a lot. And I guess because I'm a little bit away, you know, with doing things with my sister and family, it kind of made me realize, like, yeah, it's great that he's willing to look at options to try and support me a little bit more. Well, that's how I feel anyways. Gonna get more support.
I'm glad. I mean, maybe next time you'll be Zooming from the same room as opposed to Dan Zooming in from the office. Who knows? No, thank you, Dan and Abby. So as I said, we won't unpack all of those. Before I do move on though, is there any of the wellbeing areas that I didn't cover just purely because of the way that we've ranked them that you wanted to cover, or are you happy to move forward with the conversation?
I'm pretty happy to move forward.
Awesome. Thanks, Abby. Dan, nodding. Yep, cool.
Yeah, happy to move forward.
Thanks, mate. So, yeah, remember those responses. Excellent. And we'll go in now and do our what we call our value session, where we'll probably expand on some of those things that are on your mind as we get you to think about what your key values are.